Hey, 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 welcome back to episode number 2. What'd you think of episode number 1? Did you understand what it felt like when you first discovered that you're a manifestor, especially as a female, and what that energy felt like and how it shows up and why you may have had conflict with people, you didn't understand things? Well, today, Joanna and I are going to dive in even a little bit further. Today, our episode is Peace and Power, balancing rest and responsibility as a manifestor. So today we're going to talk about embracing your manifestor identity, the responsibilities of being a manifestor, which includes our power to initiate and inspire others, and how we need to manage our energy. We're also going to talk about our signature, which is seeking peace. It is our core desire, but unfortunately, manifestors are the most conditioned type of all, and we have a tendency to mistakenly try to make everyone else happy, thinking that that is the path to peace. That just becomes pleasing. So we're going to talk about how that can be disruptive and how you can begin to shift that. Join us, grab a coffee, have a seat, come home. And if you enjoy what you hear, invite your manifestor girlfriends to join us as well. Leave comments and questions, like us, and share us with others. You will find transcripts and summaries of today's podcast below. Hello, Joanna. We want to welcome our audience back to episode number 2 of Being Disrupted by Design, talking to female manifestors about manifestors with manifestors, or heaven forbid, any poor saps that love us, work with us, hang out with us, want to be friends with us. You know, I told my husband on a side note the other day, I said, these people actually, we're having this conflict because they actually want to be my friend. Do they understand? And he went, poor things. So we're going to start right there, because what we're going to talk about today is what we touched on last week in our other podcast, in podcast episode number 1. We just basically touched on, wow, okay, so I'm a manifestor. Now what? What does that look like? Where do we go? What do we do with that? Why should I care? The whole 9 yards. And we are going to discuss today, like what it was like before we discovered this, and what kind of aha moments or things have shifted for us, how you and I came together and decided to actually do this, and what our motivation is for being here. And then, like, you know, what's next? How do we begin to like accept who we are and really embrace that, so that it becomes a support, not just something that we learn about ourselves and go, oh yeah, that's great. You know, not like getting your horoscope read or you know, reading a personality quiz, but it's really just what we're going to talk about. But it's really about like, how do we use this? Like, how do we freaking use this information? So I just kicked the ball to you. What was it like for you before you understood anything about human design, or you understood that you're a manifestor? And what I mean by that is, like, let's share with the audience, like, things that you've noticed that have come up for you with what you know now, as opposed to before, when you were like searching for what's wrong with me. Because that's a big theme for us. Like, what's wrong with me? We're a small percentage, so we never fit in. So what's wrong with me? I'm just going to sit back and be quiet now.
I'm just going to stick with one of the core themes for me, is my resistance. And I thought about this since the previous episode, my resistance to resting.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Okay.
And you know, I love movies. So part of me, I think I'm almost like, if anyone's watched the Hunger Games series, Katniss, when they dropped all the players into the arena, bam, go. And every time, and I have felt that like that in life. Oh, I'm dropped into an arena situation.
Ooh.
And I'm ready to survive.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm ready to maneuver through it. Thriving has not been an option. Like, it's like, I gotta blend in. I gotta fit in. Oh, but the minute I totally tune into my instinct and inner voice, that badass creator warrior comes out, and it shifts the whole game. And like
Wow.
that,
Okay.
that to me, I've thought about this. That is the part where, oh my God, they're actually following.
Okay. That's beautiful.
Right?
Okay. Right. Okay. I said I was going to be quiet, but you've said too
Yeah.
many
No,
fabulous
no,
things
no.
here.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, because that is nowhere near the vision that I had. So that's the reason for my enthusiasm. Because number one, I can tell you, Jennifer Lawrence is a manifester. Woo!
Oh, crazy. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. You brought up key points. Like before, it was just about surviving.
Yeah.
Like thriving is like we knew, I don't know about you, but
Luxury
yeah,
item.
I knew I could do things, but it was like I was too busy surviving to thrive because I didn't
Right.
understand. So you start off by saying this is about learning to rest. This is a
Yeah.
key point for manifestors because if we don't rest, typically by the age of 50, we're burnout.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to go with that other 70% of the world that has consistent energy that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So in this process of surviving, I'm going to be talking about that the rest of the podcast now. That's going to be the key
I
word.
love
In
it.
this surviving process, before the warrior comes out, because that's we're going to hit on that next.
Yeah.
In this surviving process, when you think back and you're surviving, and by the way, I've had the luxury of knowing you for a few years. And so I've kind of watched you through some survival. I mean, I remember a conversation we had where you were walking along the beach when you were selling your house in LA and very, very traumatic for you
Mm-hmm.
and your family and very resistant. And at the same time, I remember you feeling all alone because everybody was not happy about the move that you made to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else was. It reminds me of the Little Red Hen book. Who will help me
Oh,
plant the seeds? Not I, not I. Who will help me eat the bread? I will, I will. And that's what I kept thinking the whole time. It's like, well, great. Your family wants to eat the bread, but nobody wants to plant the seeds. That's how it
yeah.
feels as a manifestor.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a
we
perfect fable for it.
we don't believe we can rest.
And you
And
think about it, that, and we can continue on my Hunger Games or even the Little Red Hen.
I like either one. The Hunger Guy. I want to
But
hear
the
the warrior
days when,
part.
like, when you're given these, you're forced to break. Okay. So there are forced breaks in a corporate world because nothing is really truly efficient there, or in consulting, right?
We're gonna get so
There,
much hate mail from this. This is great.
there's downtime. There's downtime, meaning you're looking for the next client. You're in between a corporate person trying to make a decision. So you're on, they call it on the bench, right?
Uh-huh.
The behavior for me before all this
Right.
awareness around this was, I have to be productive. I have to keep surviving because you can't be on the bench long.
Right. It's true.
Same thing with Katniss,
You're
right?
right.
You kind of go to sleep, right? But you're still
But
on.
not really
But
because
not really, right? You're forced to rest, but you're maneuvering all the people on the watch, so you can rest. You're not resting, right? I
good
mean,
I good
right?
and we don't and for a manifestor, our life is actually we function the best when we're working in our creative burst, which we did hit on in episode number 1, which is where
Mm-hmm.
we can do the work of 10 people, where we can be like Katniss, where
Mm-hmm.
we can find the remedy to the poison, and we can find
Right.
and we know where everybody is, and we can do all this,
Yeah.
and we can do it, which is why people eventually follow us or want to know about us or even have resistance to us because they know we
Mm-hmm.
can do something like that. They aren't
Mm-hmm.
sure what, they aren't sure how it's going to impact them. But then after that burst, like we're supposed to rest 80% of the time. Like, hello. So as a woman, Even if
That's
you could rest 80% of the time at work, and as you said, in the corporate world, that doesn't happen. Even if you could do that at work, then damn, you come home and it's like, what? You want what?
I call it the third shift. Because when the family is younger, right?
Right.
The first shift is literally when your eyes open, usually by a critter or a human that needs you,
That's whining incessantly and very
or
unhappy.
meowing, right? So you are on. That's the first shift. The second shift is work. The third shift is when you come home, right? And then I call it the final shift is when they're all in bed.
And you
And that,
and you
so
don't
it's
want to
really
rest
like,
because you have some time alone. Is that the part where you
exactly. And I'm going to say self-medicate. So I'm going to say self-medicate in that you watch TV.
or I play video games.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're on your
Same.
phone. You're just and everybody's like, well, why didn't you go to sleep? And you're just sitting there going, because it was quiet.
Yes. It's the best time.
It's
So
yeah.
now
It's like
it's the
everybody's
best.
asleep.
Or, the whole concept lately I've been hearing, this makes me laugh because it's been around forever. There's a whole thing. I really would love to hear what people think about this, but there's this thing about how highly successful people wake up at 5 a.m.
Oh yeah, it's the 5
Yeah,
a.m. thing.
it's a 5 a.m. thing. And I go, yeah, that's the other pocket of serenity. And it's
Right.
actually,
Yes.
it is because it's actually better because you may have rested overnight
I,
because you're not like vibrating at the end of the day, right?
I, you know what? And this has been a big debate for me because I used to be a morning person. And if I wake
Mm-hmm,
up and it's like broad daylight outside,
mm-hmm.
I wake up with like anxiety and FOMO. I feel like, what have I missed? What's happened?
Oh,
Of course, if you're
interesting.
staying up till 2 a.m., like
You are,
you're gonna sleep until 7:30 or 8 o'clock, like I did this morning.
yeah.
But here's the beauty. Like I've debated about this. So as manifestors, we really need a lot of rest. And
Mhm.
I believe I said this in the first episode, but I'm going to repeat myself here. It's even ideal if we lie in bed for 30 minutes before we go to sleep, even on our phone, even watching a movie, even doing
Mhm.
something. So we have that opportunity. But I've debated, like, if, oh, okay, I wonder if I could get in bed by 9 o'clock.
Oh, that would be like,
And then I could wake up at 4 like I used to. I don't
yeah,
know how
yeah,
I did it before, but that's the problem, is that
yeah,
when we don't know who we are and we don't know what we need, we function like the other 70% of the
yeah.
world.
It's almost like learning to use that wave, and that's the
Right.
other aha. Okay, great. I know when after this an 80%, I'm still fixated on that number and
I
can't even conceptualize achieving that. But
right.
but during that, right when you come out of that rest, there are these spurts. And that's when truly knowing thyself
Mm-hmm.
and directing yourself almost with your inner voice and instincts and years of whatever professional experience you have,
Mm-hmm.
maternal instinct, human instinct, to focus on the thing you know needs to be looked at or focused on, like knowing, seeing the path, like going with the path that your gut is telling you, right?
Okay. Thank you. Because I
That's
want to
what I'm trying to say. Like it's like, no, that it's on the agenda and that's my high priority
great.
item. And I have 5 emails to answer from the school. No, which one is going to clear my
Oh,
energy so that I can get all that other stuff done, or figure out really not really what needs to be done, you know?
okay. So that's perfect that you said that, because basically it becomes critical for us to prioritize And when you said, and it is listening to your gut, I mean, that is the principle of human design, that the entire premise is that your body has more wisdom than the thoughts in your head. And the reason I fell in love with human design is because it supports every psychological, cognitive, behavioral therapy, coaching training I ever had, which is the thoughts in your head are not you. Asking yourself, because the thoughts create your emotions, right? So if you're thinking things that are creating emotions, then we have a tendency to build stories around them. And this is what the story is. What I just heard you say is this voice saying, no, I have to answer those 5 emails from school, because that's your head telling you, but no, that's what you do. This is linear. This is what you do. And your gut is telling you, I can't do that. You need to rest. We have other things that are more important. That's the wisdom of your body. That's the gift of human design. And that's what allows us to get the work of 10 people done in 20% of the time, when we give ourselves permission to honor what our body is saying. But there is that conflict. There is that conflict. And this is a beautiful time for us to talk about things like energy centers. Like, you have a defined head and a defined ajna. People may not understand what that means. I actually have a defined ajna, but not a defined head. So the head is the what, when, where, and how. The ajna takes the file dump from the head and conceptualizes what we believe, what our concepts of things are. So the voice that's coming to you is in direct conflict with your authority, your very, very powerful, the most powerful energy center, actually, the solar plexus, that is saying, no, Joanna, this is not a good time to make that decision. No, Joanna, you really need to rest. And when we don't know that, we just keep going. We just keep going. Like you touched on last week in our first episode, you touched on the fact that you've always done a lot of personality tests.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
Okay.
I actually love them. I find them
I,
fascinating because I've taken so many.
yeah.
I know it's grounded in some, I'm sure you know this, like factual stuff, but like I know that it's grounded in some foundational psychology concepts. And it was me at first finding, oh my God, finally something that can explain who I am, and
Right.
how I operate, so that when I'm in a room, when I'm in the arena, people performing, people understand why I'm probably the one that you should follow to not get poisoned by the acid rain, right? So like, that, like it was this awareness that, but then it became, yeah, but that now I'm surrounded, and then you see who else you're with, and these are in team settings, right? So
Right.
this is all, to me, interestingly designed. What I became aware of, like I could hold on to that knowledge myself, but usually they were administered in a group setting, so that you understood how to operate and how your energy, and they didn't use that word, how your personality, right? But it's your energy impacts others, right? And it's the same concepts are there, and it was consistent, and it was always skewed full on ENFP. No in the middle. There was never in the middle. But over the years, and this is as you're surrounded and you assimilate, right? Some of the things started coming to the middle, right? It could be maturity, it could be whatever, but I knew instinctually that that was conformity, or again, part of the survival mode, right? So that becomes clear as you're an administrator and use this to facilitate things that I became aware of. And then I have gone in my early days, like the 20s, when this was I knew it right after college that I operated differently. And everybody has personal stories or ancestral baggage we carry, right?
Right.
But there was a voice in me that I followed, that I needed a guide. I needed help. And the guide I chose was the first time I entered therapy, right? And so that's another source of trying to figure yourself out, of finding a guide. And then I've gone to psychics. I've had tarot cards read.
Sure.
Just to figure out what my voice was saying. Again, 20, like just, wow, the world is mine and I'm really confused and I don't know where to go. And I have these things that keep following me and these stories. So, and as you entered each phase, I would touch base to the disc model,
Sure.
the Hogan, which, wow, that's the closest thing equivalent to human design, because that's pages and pages of information on you.
Right.
And it's funny, when we first connected,
yes,
I think I sent you all that stuff.
You sent me all your information. You did.
Okay. It was almost like, you want to work with me? Here you go.
Right? This is what you need to know. Okay, so you just that's absolutely perfect. So this is what we do as manifestors. I began even younger. Like I began when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, reading biographies of famous women.
Interesting.
Because inside of me, I was like, I'm not normal. I don't like the other things that other girls seem to like.
Same.
I want to do something different. That's boring. That's shallow. That's this. That's this. So I was looking for a role model. I was looking for a roadmap.
That's the perfect word.
I was looking for a path. And so to answer your question with, obviously I have a limited amount of knowledge, but like the Myers-Briggs and all of those that came after Myers-Briggs, where she worked with Jung, and it was based on the Jungian archetypes. And it was based on us understanding like, okay, so this is my proclivity. This is this. The only challenge is all of them are subjective. As you just pointed out, how you begin to shift from an ENFP. By the way, I'm an INFP. I haven't shifted a bit. I'm still over there in the corner. It's like, leave me the F alone. Anyway, they're all subjective. You're answering questions. The difference for me in human design was like, oh, so I don't really get to skew it, because as a manifestor, I don't know about you, but I also had a proclivity to wanting to be a certain way. And so I could actually take some of these tests and I could actually go, so if I say this, then it's going to give me the result I want, which of course gives me no answers whatsoever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've seen people facilitating groups where they actually thought that that's how you had to do it.
See,
and I always went into these things really like almost a spiritual angst of going, I just want to know my truth. And I
did too. I just wanted it to be what I wanted it to be.
No, I didn't know.
I wanted to control it.
Right. I didn't. I wanted to truly know. And
okay, fascinating.
The one time I think you administered a new version of a test or something, you were testing on a group of us.
I created my own quiz.
Right. Yeah. And I took it. And of course, I'm on the ferry, taking a laptop in my car, because I'm generating, I'm ready, I'm answering emails. And
right, because I've only got this like 45-minute ride here. So I get to sit in my car.
35 minutes.
Excuse me.
So
okay.
I said, I'm going to have fun. And I took your test.
Thank you. I'm so glad.
And because I'd taken it, like, I stopped myself and took it in that state of mind.
Yeah.
I literally remember contacting you going, I'm not a manifestor anymore. Like literally the state of mind I was in skewed the data. And that's
okay. Okay.
My state of mind, and this is the thing, this is one of those big takeaways. In my desire to fit in, there reaches a point.
Thank you.
That I can't do it anymore. And when I show up as the true me.
As
It
the
may,
warrior and
yes, it may take people back,
okay.
right?
I just want to keep talking about this. And actually
Yeah,
I just happened to look at time and
yeah,
we're kind of wrapping around that. And so
yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
wrap around these key
Perfect.
points
Yeah.
because as a manifestor, this is so crucial for us to understand. We are the igniting, initiating energy in everything, in every interaction, in every relationship, in everything that we do, whether we're aware of it or not. So we have people follow us because we naturally have that energy. So it's really hard because it's a responsibility, excuse me, that we don't really like. But I have a great example. Like when I was coming to Paris in my 20s, I was in the post office and I was going to pick up my passport. And there was this beautiful black man. He was shining shoes. He must have been 15 feet away from me. And he goes, "Hey." And I turned around, surprised. He said, "What's that song you're singing?" And I said, "I'm sorry." He said, "That song you're singing that's making you so happy."
Oh,
My
that's good.
energy, I know it was absolutely perfect, but the thing about it is we get to own that. And that energy can skew and change everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes back to the need for rest. That comes back to
Mm-hmm.
understanding that we have this incredible power to create so many amazing things in a short
Mm-hmm.
period of time, but we critically have to rest.
Yeah.
So, wow, this has just been so much fun. I really don't want to stop, but I want to leave the audience with a couple of things, a couple of points that I feel like we went over today, and then I'm going to ask you to add to whatever you think
Yep.
I might have missed. But basically, understanding that we're a small percentage, we're never going to fit in. Understanding ourselves is just about knowing ourselves. We
Mm-hmm.
we can't take any personality tests or we can't read any biographies and follow anyone else's path because every path for a manifestor is very different. And we're going to get into that as we continue in this podcast, is the differences even between energy types. So before we were frantic, we couldn't rest. Now we
Mm-hmm.
understand it. And now we are both at that phase where we're just beginning to embrace it and try to understand how to create that. You being in a corporate world, again, our audience is going to love this because you being in a corporate world, wow, so much harder, so much harder. But I don't know about you, but the ease and the joy and the peace, which is our signature theme, is peace, which is internal, not something we create outside, is so much greater for me now that I know that I'm not going to be Clara Barton on the battlefield. First biography I read.
Oh my. Oh.
So, what about you, Katniss?
Oh, well, it's so funny you say this because I'm just going to share this. This is one of my best friends. I have peace signs
mm,
everywhere. Like, not everywhere. I'm not that, but like, I've got a peace sign at my house. I got a peace entrance of our home. Peace sign art is, I gravitate towards it. Um, and I think it's symbolic. Um,
it's what we
because
want.
right, that's all I want. And I do really want it for others because maybe if they're at peace, I'll have peace.
Right. Okay. But
Right.
that's conditioning.
So,
We're going to talk about that
right.
in our
So,
next episode. But yeah.
so, and that's so much other things. But I think it's really knowing what I need to do to have that peace, to be able to create, to lead, to nurture others in a healthy way,
Yes.
to have relationships that thrive, that don't just survive. Um,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
um,
Just to
yeah.
hang tight, audience, because we're going to talk about that too. We're both married to manifesting generators. Whoa, 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 high energy. And so we're going to talk about that in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. So it's interesting, isn't it? How unconsciously you were symbolically seeking symbols of peace.
Yeah.
because that is our signature theme. That really is all we want. And we truly want it for other people. Like I can speak for, okay, there's some manifestors I don't want to speak for, but I can speak for the majority of us that are really seeking to be healthy and whole and to understand ourselves. Our greatest joy is our intention and passion and purpose, not just for ourselves, but for other people. So thank you for bringing that back around. Beautiful point. I can't wait to talk to you in episode 3, because we're going to talk about like how we go forward and conditioning and recognizing that. So it's going to be so exciting. So thank you, my friend. You're amazing.
You.
So much
Thank
fun.
you.
And
All right.
can't
Let's
wait
go
till
bake
next time.
some bread.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Let's go do that.
Hey there. Thank you so much for joining our second episode. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the challenges and strategies for thriving as a manifestor. Here are a few nuggets from today's discussion. Seeking peace is a core desire for manifestors. In addition, many of us also have a deep intention to support and uplift others. This requires us to also navigate our own challenges and energy levels with this passion to do so. It's important to note, and an interesting fact I learned from this episode is manifestors need to rest 80% of the time to recharge. This is a key to thriving and embracing your natural energy so that you can communicate effectively. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes, which will delve deeper into topics like relationships and conditioning. Before you sign off, please leave us a review. Share this podcast with fellow manifestors who could benefit from our discussions. Your support helps us continue to create great content. As always, stay curious, stay inspired, and come home to your unique selves. Until next time, keep manifesting those good vibes and take care of your unique energy.